This is an iHeart podcast.
Welcome in, everyone, to Lively Lewis Stories.
That's right. We're back with even more awesome adventures with Levi and Ivy.
Set your storytime meter to fun and get ready to join the Lively Lewis crew.
All you need is your imagination and...
Off we go! I can't wait to see where our story takes us today.
Have you ever wanted to get more Lively Lewis in your life?
Well, we've got you covered.
Grab an adult and zoom over to livelylewisshop.com.
Or just click on the link in our show notes.
Enough about that. Let's get to today's super Lively Lewis story.
The story you're about to enjoy was inspired by Lanaya. Thank you so much for your amazing idea. The Carousel at the summer fair was by far Ivy's favorite ride. Every July when the fair arrived in her town, she would watch as they set up. Day after day, she would ride her bike to the park and watch from just beyond a temporary plastic fence as the fair took shape. There was a teacup ride, the super slide, bumper cars, and the fun house. They were all great, but day after day, Ivy would return hoping to see her favorite ride being assembled. And finally, on the last day before the fair was set to open, Ivy saw it. There it is, Ivy whispered to herself as a smile spread across her face. The carousel is going up! Ivy then watched as every magical and exotic animal you could think of took their place on the marvelous ride. There was an emerald green sea serpent, a regal tiger, a massive elephant, a soaring crane, and so many wonderful horses. Those were Ivy's favorites, each with a brilliant flowing mane and tail and a saddle decorated with gems and jewels. My goal is to ride on every single carousel horse this weekend, Ivy told her brother Levi, who she had asked to come with her that day to watch the setup. I know, Ivy, said Levi, but you try to do that every year and you end up using all your tickets and don't come with me on any of the other rides. It's because the carousel is my favorite, answered Ivy. And I don't know why it's not your favorite too. What could be better than spinning around and around, the breeze in your face, surrounded by so many wonderful animals? It's like being in a dream. It's fun, Ivy, don't get me wrong, but there are other cool rides at the fair too, said Levi, hoping to convince his sister. Like, how about that cool drop ride or the giant swings or the roller coaster? They're all fine, I guess, but nothing tops the carousel for me, said Ivy before shushing her brother. Now stop talking, Levi. They're about to take out this year's special carousel animal. Now you see, every year the fair company picks a new carousel animal to add to the ride. This allows another carousel animal to have a little break, and it's really fun to surprise the fair goers every summer. As Ivy watched very seriously, she watched something being moved out of the big trailer that held all the carousel parts. It was something wrapped up in a big, heavy blanket. She moved her head back and forth to try and get a better view, when all of a sudden the blankets were taken off and Ivy saw the most magnificent thing in front of her. It was a beautiful off-white horse with a rainbow mane and tail and a saddle painted gold. Then, not thinking it could get any better, Ivy watched as one of the men putting together the carousel moved some of the horse's mane to reveal a stunning, glowing, glistening horn. It's a unicorn, Levi! A unicorn! Screamed Ivy with joy. She jumped up and down and did a little dance because she could not contain her excitement. Very cool, Ivy. Can we go home now? Said Levi, sounding less than enthusiastic. He was happy for his sister, but not jumping up and down happy. As Ivy danced around, she started to cough a bit. Are you okay, Ivy? Asked Levi. You were coughing this morning, too. Are you catching a cold? I'm fine, Levi, answered Ivy quickly. It's the middle of summer. No one gets a cold in the summer. Not true, Ivy, said Levi, moving a step away from his sister. Don't get me sick. I don't want to miss the fair. It starts tomorrow. I know it starts tomorrow, replied Ivy, sounding annoyed. Just calm down. Ivy really didn't think much about what Levi had said and hurried home on her bike to tell her parents about the carousel unicorn. Once she got home, Ivy ran inside. Mom! Dad! called out Ivy, muffling a cough. Where are you? Right here, Ivy, called back her mom. How's that cough doing? I heard you coughing a bit this morning, too. Are you feeling okay? Why does everyone keep asking me that? I'm fine, said Ivy before going on to tell her mom all about the carousel unicorn. I can't wait for my turn to ride on that that unicorn this weekend at the fair. It'll be so much fun, Ivy said between coughs. Ivy, "Why don't you lay down for a bit?" said her dad as he walked into the living room. "I think there's a little bug going around, and that cough doesn't sound great." Ivy tried to say she was okay, but a couple of sneezes got in the way. Her mom went to get the thermometer, and after taking Ivy's temperature, it was clear she was coming down with a little something. "Oh, no," Ivy said, feeling her throat getting a little scratchy. "But this weekend is the fair. I can't miss the fair. I can't miss the Carousel unicorn." "Don't worry, honey," said her mom reassuringly. "If you get plenty of rest and lay low for a day or two, I'm sure you can make it to the fair on the last day. But for now, you have to rest." Ivy was sent upstairs to get washed up and get in bed. Her mom brought her a big glass of orange juice and read some stories to her until she fell asleep. But unfortunately, as the afternoon turned into night, Ivy felt worse and worse. She was so upset that she was sick, knowing that the fair started tomorrow and only ran for 3 days: Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Trying to be positive, Ivy told herself that as long as she got a good night's sleep, she'd likely feel better in the morning and be able to go to the fair. If only that was true. Ivy woke up several times that night, each time coughing, blowing her nose, and sneezing. Her fever hadn't gone away by morning, so the fair wasn't an option on Friday. Levi ended up going to the fair with some friends, but left only after Ivy fell asleep, so she wouldn't see him go. He felt really bad that she couldn't join him. Ivy did all she could to feel better fast. She took the icky medicine her mom gave her, she drank big glasses of orange juice and water to stay hydrated, and she laid on the couch all day, sleeping on and off to let her body rest. But unfortunately, nothing was working, because when Ivy woke up on Saturday, she was still feeling bad. Her fever had gone away, but she was feeling weak and still coughing, sneezing, and stuffy. "Sorry, Ivy. Maybe you can go to the fair tomorrow?" said her mom, feeling so bad because she knew how much Ivy wanted to ride the Carousel unicorn. Maybe, Ivy thought to herself. "I just can't miss the fair." Ivy looked like she was going to cry as she laid in her bed. The fairgrounds were close enough to her house that she could hear the music, rides, and kids laughing and having a great time. I still have tomorrow. Ivy said over and over again, trying to keep a positive thought in her head. But that night, Ivy was up quite a bit and didn't get much sleep at all. Finally, she fell asleep around 5 a.m. and was able to stay asleep for the majority of the day, which is exactly what her body needed. Because when Ivy woke up, she was feeling so much better. She hopped out of bed and walked downstairs. "Mom, Dad, I'm feeling better," exclaimed Ivy with a big smile. "Let's go to the fair." While her parents were happy that she was feeling better, they didn't look it. "Why do you look so down?" asked Ivy. "I just said I'm feeling better, so I can go to the fair now." "Sweetheart, I am so sorry, but you slept through the fair today," said her mom. "We knew you needed to sleep because you were up all night, so we didn't wake you up." "Honey, it was the best thing for you. Look how great you're feeling now," said Ivy's dad, giving his little girl a hug. "We'll spend all 3 days at the fair next year. We promise." Ivy couldn't believe it. She looked at the clock in the kitchen and it read 6 p.m. She had slept away the whole last day of the fair. She started to cry and ran up to her room. Her mom let her go, knowing she needed a little time to process all of this. Ivy jumped into her bed and cried into her pillow. She couldn't help but think of the carousel at the fair being taken apart and loaded back up into those big trailers for next year. And that made her feel worse. But what would happen to that Carousel unicorn? Would she ever see it again? As Ivy lay on her bed, she felt herself drifting off to sleep. And since she couldn't go to the fair, she decided that sleeping was the best option. As she slept, she dreamed, and as she dreamed, she entered a magical world that only existed in her imagination. After a moment or two, Ivy opened her eyes. She thought she might be dreaming, but it really did feel like she was awake. So she walked downstairs to see if Levi and her mom and dad were around, but she couldn't find them anywhere. She walked around the house and everything was quiet, except for the faint sound of music playing in the backyard. It sounded just like the carousel music at the fair. Ivy walked out to her back deck and couldn't believe her eyes. Right there, under her treehouse, was the carousel from the fair. And the only thing on that carousel was the unicorn she had seen days before. "Oh my goodness, this is wonderful! I can ride on the carousel unicorn now. I didn't miss it." Ivy slowly walked towards the carousel and stepped onto the turning circular base. The carousel music played gently, filling her whole world with happiness. Ivy only wished that Levi, her mom, and her dad could be there with her. I guess one little ride is better than nothing, said Ivy as she hopped into the unicorn and grabbed the reins. It was then that things got even better. Who said we're only taking one little ride? Asked a voice. Who said that? Called out Ivy. Why, I did, said the unicorn as it turned its head to look at Ivy. Ivy, my dear, I have been waiting for you all weekend. I wanted to take you for a ride from the moment I saw you when they took me out of that big trailer. Oh my goodness, you talk too? Exclaimed Ivy. Yes, I do, giggled the unicorn. My name is Lonnie, and if you'd like to come along, we can go for a ride around your town. Ivy couldn't speak. She was so excited. Instead, she nodded over and over again and held on tight. Lonnie smiled, hopped off the carousel, and was galloping through the streets of Ivy's neighborhood in no time. Her beautiful rainbow mane and tail waving in the breeze and her unicorn horn glistening in the setting sun. Ivy and Lonnie ran toward the park and through the playground. Then it was off to Ivy's school, past the candy shop, the ice cream store, and the library. Ivy told Lonnie all about her little town as they went. After showing her all around, Ivy thought her time with her new friend was done, but it was just beginning. Ivy, thank you for showing me around your town, said Lonnie as they rested in the big field where Ivy and Levi played soccer. I was thinking I could show you where I live now. Would that be okay? Ivy again couldn't believe what she was hearing. Of course, Lonnie, answered Ivy. Let's go! Expecting to zoom away at a strong gallop, Ivy couldn't have been more surprised when Lonnie's hoofs began to lift off the ground as they soared together into the sky. They were now flying over Ivy's house and the fairgrounds. Everything looked so small below. Lonnie climbed higher and higher into the twilight sky with Ivy, as stars glimmered all around them. The ground then turned to water as they continued their journey before landing on a beautiful island. Ivy had never seen so many flowers before. Welcome to my home, said Lonnie. Then Ivy and her unicorn friend played on the beach surrounded by giant flowering rose bushes, wishing their time together would never end. But sadly, it had to. As Lonnie and Ivy flew back to her house, Lonnie told Ivy how happy she was, that she was feeling better and that they got a chance to meet. I'll make sure I'm back again next year when the fair comes to your town, said Lonnie as she landed in Ivy's backyard. Just don't get sick, and then we could spend the whole weekend together. Ivy giggled and assured Lonnie that she would see her next year at the fair. Thank you so much, Lonnie. I had the most wonderful time with you, said Ivy, giving her new friend a big hug. Lonnie said the same, and by the light of the moon above, she flew back to the fairgrounds. Ivy quietly walked inside her house, and before she knew it, she was waking up in her bed. Ivy, you're awake, said Levi, walking into Ivy's room. I was hoping you'd get up before I went to bed. I really missed you at the fair this weekend. It just wasn't the same. I even went on the carousel for you. I rode on that new unicorn. It really was a lot of fun. And I asked the person that runs the fair if they could please bring the unicorn back next year, and they said yes. Wow, thanks so much, Levi, said Ivy, knowing for sure that now she would see Lonnie again. I'm just happy I'm feeling better. Me too. And to celebrate, here, I got you something at the fair, said Levi. It's a candy grab bag filled with all kinds of tasty sweet treats. Ivy thanked her brother and opened the bag to see what was inside. And instead of a bag filled completely with candy, she also found a necklace. But not just any necklace. A unicorn necklace? Exclaimed Ivy as she looked down at the piece of jewelry and saw Lonnie's face staring back at her. That's strange, said Levi. I thought the grab bags only had candy in them. Well, aren't you lucky? Ivy held the necklace close to her heart as she looked out her window at the stars she had just flown through with Lonnie. I sure am, Levi. I sure am. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the story and learned a little something too.
And since we know everyone has their own story, we'd love to hear yours.
If you have an idea for a Lively Lewis story, leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, your idea, and your little one's name.
Then maybe our next adventure will be with you.
Until our next Storytime Hangout.
Thanks for listening. We can't wait to share another fun Lively Lewis story with you.
This is an iHeart podcast.